family, so I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how common sense has been removed from today's society. There is no longer a such thing as common sense in today's Western modern society. Common sense has gone out the window, and a lot of us who are able to be self-aware and understand our actions, our intentions, our movements, our environments, all of us who are able to tap in and hone in these abilities still, you are on a whole nother chapter to infinity and beyond. And most beings around you is not going to be able to stand beside you very long unless you are okay and willing to lower your vibration for them, depending on how your relationship is with them. You know what I mean? Common sense is done. What we call common is no longer common. So, understanding these things, you have to know that your self-awareness, you being able to maintain your self-awareness, because I hate when we say things like you started being self-aware. We always been self-aware. It's just having the understanding and the depth of knowing the actual pretenses that's happening behind it. So it's kind of like you always knew how to eat a pizza. You just didn't know how to make a pizza. You knew how to eat a cheeseburger. You just didn't know how to make a cheeseburger. It's the same thing with life right now, what we're doing. All the common sense has went out the window. If when you start talking and engaging with some of these zombie robots, it's going to be extremely hard and difficult. It becomes a little frustrating sometimes, one, just because of the fact that you are lowering your vibration, and then you have the other means, which it being something simple, simplicity, that just could kind of waver you and just throw you off sometimes. When you are on the top of the tree, you're not always gonna want to come down to the ground to kind of engage with the other birds. Sometimes you want to tell the birds to meet you halfway or come up to the top of the tree because you got more kicking it for them at the top of the tree. But we got to understand that common sense has gone out the window. We used to put perfume and cologne on, so we could kind of smell a little refresher or a little bit different going into like certain environments and locations. Now fragrances and scents is something that's become a part of certain people. Some people don't want to take a bath without having some kind of scent rubbed all over them. Some people don't want to leave the house without spraying and rubbing some kind of scent all over them. Like, it's not even common to be in your own scent, in your own energy. So how do you get to diving down on those lower frequencies when we can see that it's a lot of... I hate when people say, oh, I like to feel fresh. If you got to spray far out of way shit on you to feel fresh, then your mind space is completely gone. You didn't come out the womb with shit sprayed on you, And that goes for guys and girls. I hate walking past a group of people, a man or one man, and that's all I smell is his artificial fragrance. In my mind, that always tells me that this is a whole robot that doesn't know how to think for themselves, and they are hiding their aura and their aroma. To me, I know for a lot of us, even if some of you don't dive in that deep as far as that thing, like, we have to have a starting ground. We have to start from somewhere. So that's why I say a lot of things that's common, that used to be common, aren't common anymore. And just even being self-aware to that degree, How many people have took a bath or a shower or put lotion on or oils and things on their body that... it didn't have a fragrance scent. Maybe you just went with some regular coconut oil, you didn't have to go all out with the vanilla fragrances and all of these other things. The thing is, when we start doing all these things that aren't common anymore, you putting a big blockage on yourself, which you don't even understand that you're doing. So with you putting that big blockage on yourself, it's kind of like trying to drive your car with the e-brake. When you drive your car with the e-brake, you realize it's gonna be doing a lot of weird stuff. A lot of weird stuff. He had to cut the grass over this way, so it's like, it is just mind-blowing, you know. Unless you get your own land and you got your own space, you know, it's a whole field out here. Yeah, y'all don't even see how big this is, but he could go cut somewhere else until everything was done. He wasn't even over this way until he saw me filming, so that's what brings the traction over, which comes the distraction. But it's not common. Common sense would have told me, hey, somebody got a camera, he's standing in front of it talking. Let me go the other direction. You know what I mean? But this is a clear example of knowledge, a lot of things not being common anymore. What you call common is not common. Some people would look up in the sky and you'll still hear grown-ups calling those bad airplanes, them chemtrail planes, they would still be calling them jets. And I had to teach my daughter that a long time ago, because little people ask questions. You know, they look in the sky, they looking at the ground, they want answers. You know, her grandparents on the other side tell her that, you know, they're jets. They're not jets. We've been learned about this a long time ago. As I'm speaking of planes, here come a plane. It is mind-blowing. You know, that's completely different. But your common sense gets completely removed. That's why it seems as though you being natural, you being normal, you doing regular things that spiritual beings having a human experience do seems so extravagant. It's because it's a lot of low vibrating, low frequency beings. And the beings who aren't low vibrating, they are hanging out on low frequencies. So it's kind of like taking the president and all day, instead of him being in private yachts and clubs and stuff, he just hang out on the block. This is the society in the way everything has transpired and been transformed to. You know, so just being aware that, you know, what you know and feel is to be common, regular, self-aware knowledge that should be normal. It is not normal in society today, especially if you're in the Western society. And I emphasize that because it's all over the world. I don't say, oh, if you're in the United States. I don't give a fuck about the United States. That shit is a business. I don't care about my social security number. I don't care about my birth certificate. That doesn't define me and it doesn't go with me. I don't care about my criminal record. I don't care about none of that shit. I have walked a much better life than I will ever allow this system to say, hey, because you stepped over that way, these things have been accumulating, so this is gonna weigh more. I don't give a fuck about none of that. And that's why my energy shifts when it comes to that, because as men, we have to pick a position. I've always been a warrior my whole life. You know, before I knew warrior, it was called fighter. I've always been a fighter. You know, it just transitioned to something much bigger and beautiful and better than myself and anything I could have ever imagined, you know. So just being able to go these depths and comprehend, okay, like common sense is no longer common anymore, and you have to realize that the majority of the people are gonna be speaking against you. The majority of the people that's in your bubbles or in your spaces, they usually are not gonna coincide with you unless you created an environment where you got a bunch of beings who operate and process the same way. But usually we have to get to that space. I mean, we got to transition through all that other witchy stuff to get to that space, because we already understood, all right, I don't want to be the president hanging out in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I want to be the president, and I want to transition the hood to be something that everybody can kind of congregate. Instead of it being a hood, we're going to turn this into, you know, a whole neighborhood. You know, it's always this weird process with everything, and people feeling as though it's like my apologies, my apologies, and our apologies. Hey, when you been battling this shit your whole life, like some stuff you just don't even get pissed off and frustrated no more. You just don't. It's like, how could I be mad at a baby for trying to get in the driver's seat? The baby don't know how to drive. The baby just kept getting in the seat because they see mom or dad or whoever the caretaker is getting in the seat. So for me, if this doesn't get riled up in the inside, and I could keep this under control easier and faster and better in the inside, it makes staying on track and keeping everything aligned a lot smoother. And that's the whole purpose of doing this right now. Just being self-aware, all right? Even if I knew somebody was cutting grass on all these acres out here, they didn't have to cut this way, but they chose to, and they still can because they have to cut all of it possibly. And it looked like they just roaming just right now, but it's okay. But things like this is a clear prime example of what I am discussing right now about just common sense being gone. You know, so you cannot allow the energy or those other entities to shift your energy as much or to rile you up or for you to lower your vibration. You know, we gonna get frustrated, but that don't mean you lowering your vibration because you're frustrated. You know, that's like my daughter plucking me in the side of my head with me not paying attention. I don't lower my I don't lower my vibration, but I felt the contact, the vibration, the contact, and you know, it just does its own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that is two completely different things. I be going into one subject and then I be wanting to start to break down what I'm saying even more. So that's the annoying thing with this English language too. You know, it never does us any justice. So just do little things to kind of keep focusing on your self-awareness. I know some people dove in and said, oh, they got their own answers and responses for this. Cool. Whatever works for you, that's kind of like Christian and Muslim and Buddhism. I don't give a damn which one you take as long as we all fucking with the same creator. I'm going war with you or for you. You know what I'm saying? If you need an ally, I am here warring with you. But the reason why I was teaching this and doing this for my many and just other little ones and younger ones, because they do this and they have no understanding why they do that. So at least start them off with, all right, well, this being right here, he at least gave me a reason why I could do this. It's kind of like when you change words and you put different energy and condensation on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. All those small things, like the word can't, my daughter is famous for, we don't say the word can't. You know, you cannot, because there's probably other things that's stopping you, but you can. So we're not even going to emphasize the word can't. We don't use the word bored unless you're playing a board game. We don't get bored. We spiritual beings. We're always active doing something. If you're a robot, you're going to get bored. We don't get bored. It's a lot of things that got removed that gets pushed over to the side, and then we got to reformulate.